Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and we're going to talk about the economic decisions that Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves placed in the hands of every single dungeon master, right? So what's interesting is, I have a good friend who's actually a real historian, right? He wrote a dissertation on the glass. I think it was called the Glass House or the Glass Menagerie that was built for the World's Fair, right? And I talked with him about history. He knows history at a very significant level, and I actually have an interest in history, but I will say it is starting to shift to an interest in present. I consider myself a presentorian of Dungeons & Dragons, right? So I think there's so much happening with Dungeons & Dragons that I think the best way to understand any true catalyst in the world, and I think Dungeons & Dragons is a catalyst in the world, that we should be presentorians, and then we study the history of the thing and the future of the thing to know the thing now, right? And so I consider myself a presentorian of Dungeons & Dragons. I have a friend who's an actual true historian, right? And what's really interesting is, so we're talking specifically about Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves and the economic decisions that come around it. But one of the things I realized is a lot of people study wars, right? And World War II is massively studied, right? And the reason why it was studied is it captures a picture of the culture, right? If you study World War II, you realize the countries that mattered most at that time, right? Japan, America, Russia, Great Britain, right? Germany. These were the major players, right? And the rest of the world, these guys were, every one of those nations I just talked about, they were in color. The rest of the world was in black and white, right? They didn't really matter in this world war, right? But these did, right? And so one of the things so if we look at Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and we look at it carefully, what is happening with movies, what is happening with American economics, and what is happening with, if you look at Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, it's actually a map of American present, right? Which makes us look at our history too. So right now, let's look at Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and let's look at the purchase decisions that every single dungeon master had to make. Okay, so the first decision that you had to make was whether you were going to ally with the D&D Begoners and boycott the film, which is exactly what they called for. So many dungeon masters said $0. I will never go see this on the big screen, and I will make no purchases for the small screen. Right, and there are people who are doing that right now. Right, and that's an economic decision. The reality of it shrivels your soul and your heart. But hey, some people want to be liches. More power to them, or less power to them, actually. But people get to make decisions. This is America. If you want to make yourself into a shriveled lich, you can do that by doing something like boycotting the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And there's a few people who did that. Not a small number of people, I don't think. I think it was fairly large, right? And they were encouraged by OSR allies, and they were encouraged by a whole bunch of different groups to punish everyone connected to Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. The next one was what I did, right? Was to buy one or more tickets on the big screen. I paid between $14 and $18 for every one of my tickets. I'm sorry, that's not correct. I have a Regal movie pass, right? So I pay $21 a month, and I get to see as many movies as I want for free. So at $21 a month, right? So I saw it 4 times in theaters, right? And that's interesting, because the reality is I didn't even buy individual. Oh, that's not true. I actually I took 12 people to see. So my ticket was bought with a Regal pass. We never actually we never gave dollars directly to Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves for my 4 tickets, right? But when I went to see the movie for the first time, I brought 11 visitors. 11, right? And so I bought 11 tickets at $18 a piece. So that's close to $200 of American dollars that USD that I put out for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And those dollars were the most powerful dollars. They were dollars that said, hey, pay attention, Hollywood. This is me trying to make this into an American blockbuster and earn, with my American dollars, by merit, a sequel, right? That didn't work. and that is very sad. Okay. Next, about a week and a half ago, we had the decision. You had the economic decision to buy the film for $25. You could also rent it for $20, but I don't think any fool in the world did that, right? If you're like, I could see it once for $20, or I could see it for infinity for $25. I don't think anybody functionally bought any of the rental movies. So you could buy it for $25. And there were people who had already seen it, right? And were like, I'm going to buy it on the digital, right? So there were people who bought the big screen and bought the small screen. Now, it's my opinion that small screen purchases do not help get a sequel whatsoever. In fact, every single small screen purchase really says, hey, I'm going to skip this in the theater if you guys give it a sequel, right? That's not good. So I have actually not bought the digital version. It's not because I don't want to send a wrong signal in Hollywood. I haven't bought it because I don't think I can watch Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves right now without weeping through the whole thing. And the reason why is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves is an amazing film. Paramount did an amazing job. Every single actor did an amazing job. The directors did an amazing job. Hasbro did an amazing job. And the world rejected it, right? And that causes me so much heartache that, like, I cried I saw the film 4 times on the big screen. I cried every time Hulk Kilgore died. If I watched Honor Among Thieves right now, I would cry the moment the credits. I would cry the moment, Paramount's icon started at the beginning, because it's nothing but ash in my mouth because it was stolen from us by villains, right? The Dungeons & Dragons cinematic universe were stolen from us by villains, and that's horrendous. And I don't know how I'm going to continue to process that in my heart. I'm processing that now. So people could buy it for $25, right? Digital, right? Small screen purchase. Now, just yesterday, you now have a new economic decision to make. If you have not bought it, like me, right? And I get to the point where I think I can watch it again. Do I buy the $25 digital, right? Or do I wait 6 to 8 months until it'll drop to $10 digital? Or do I say, okay, it doesn't make any sense to buy the digital 25 now. I can spend $9.99 a month and get 2 months of it on, and get 2 months of Paramount Plus, and watch everything on Paramount Plus, and watch the movie as many times as I want for 2 months, but also watch everything else that's on Paramount Plus, which there's a lot of amazing stuff on Paramount Plus. Tulsa King, if you haven't watched it. Evil is on there. All the 1883 is on there. Oh my gosh, 1923 is on there. There is just a ton of amazing stuff on Paramount Plus, right? So I could be like, okay, I'm not going to spend $25 for one movie. What I can do is I can spend $20, get 2 months of Paramount Plus, watch the movie like 10 times, and watch a whole bunch of other things in that 2 month period. And then after that 2 month period, I'll probably be able to pick it up on a digital sale as a digital copy for like $10, right? And I think that's probably, and that'll cost me a total of $30, but I'll have the movie, I'll be able to watch it immediately as many times as I want, and all the other Paramount Plus material. And then also then, for 30, 20, 20, 10 to Paramount, 10 to Paramount Plus, 10 to Paramount Plus for 1 month, 10 to Paramount Plus for another month, and then purchase it for $10 flat when it's cheaper 2 months down the line. So there's a lot of decisions, right? And look at the path that this movie went through. It went through actual big screen release, very significant digital campaign, right? Then to streaming, which was Paramount Plus's streaming. And Dungeons & Dragons is on the front lines of the digital war, of the digital streaming wars, of the streaming wars, right? And Paramount Plus is saying, hey, come on over, look, we got stuff, right? And if Paramount Plus really wants to compete, they may end up making a sequel for this for no other reason than to build something real for their streamer, right? Which they could massively go into debt for. So there could be, they could find some investor who's willing to give them $150 million to do another one, right? Just to see if they can push their streaming service forward. And that's no small thing. Like, this is a real battle. The streaming wars are a real battle, right? So every single word of that is my humble opinion. Thanks for exploring all these like economic decisions around the purchase of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, because I think it's a window into our society and what's happening right now. And so there's this huge question of, is streaming real? Does it matter? Are American movies dead, or are they still alive? And I think these are fascinating questions. Every single word of that's my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.